Welcome to game 1 of EmperorGreymon versus Purple Hybrid. Yes, we're going to be facing off one of the strongest decks probably in this coming format. Purple Hybrid has been doing a lot of things with crazy aggression as well, as we can see. And yeah, really excited to get into these matches and games for you guys. So definitely keep a lookout and stay tuned for more. And don't forget to subscribe and turn on the notification bell, as I appreciate the support. But here with our mulligan hand, not the greatest. We want to be able to find tamers. We want to maybe at least find a rookie to work with. Although I'm currently not playing with a lot of rookies, I feel like I might bump it up a little bit more eventually. But the most important thing is actually establishing Koji and Takuya as soon as possible, no matter the circumstance. That's what sort of what I learned in this game, because as I played more, it sets your memory at 3, so you can start establishing your secondary tamers being Tommy and Zoe, and try to give the opponent as little memory as possible to work with, because you can potentially choke them at 1 back to back to back, which is always really good. It's okay for the opponent to chip at the security, especially when it comes to Purple Hybrid. They are pretty aggro in the early stages, because it can give us a lot of value potentially finding more tamers in there. So we're not seeing it quite yet. Dustmon's actually pretty scary because it changes our tamers into some other color, and they chose to go for purple here, as long as it's non-white. And even though then Burning Gray can still go on top of Takuya regardless of the color, so that's really good there, because then we can try to attempt to get rid of the Dustmon, and then by using Burning Gray to digivolve into Jet Sylphie as we're attacking, and so that we can delete it. And passing them back at 1, it's okay, not the greatest, not the best usage of memory, but I really need to digivolve and cycle as much as possible, because at this moment I can actually just threaten and go into a potential Emperor Grey the following turn and continue to make attacks. And the thing is, with this Jet Sylphie, it has really nice inheritables, because with the Kaze underneath, if it ever would leave the battle area, I still get to float the Takuya and Koji back out. Still no rookie, which is totally fine, but Jet Sylphie does have raid, so we can deal with the Ukomon out of there right away as soon as possible, so they're not trying to decrease the value that they have. So I'm going to go for a Boko search and try to find some pieces, and finding Zoe is going to be crucial here, because it's really important to establish Zoe and Tommy alongside with Koji and Takuya, so then we can have all the colors for a very important combo piece later on, which I'm going to show you guys. Here I'm just going to use the Ancient Guardian Deity to play one of my tamers back. Now, I felt like potentially we want to have more memory to work with, so that's why I went for the Koji and Takuya play instead of playing out a Zoe or a Tommy. Although I did mention establishing is really important, but we don't have a Takuya anymore at this point, because it's sitting on the Jet Sylphie at the moment. So things are looking pretty tricky because they're rushing us down very, very fast. Like I mentioned earlier, we did find a Zoe in our security, which is really good value there. And then they're just going to take out our Bokomon, preventing us to be able to gain memory as we digivolve into more hybrids. And this is going to be a very important, crucial turn, because we need a clear board. We haven't been able to touch their security just yet, just because of the pace of Purple Hybrid. It's just so fast. It's very challenging, especially when it comes to this deck, to face against it, because we are set up heavy reliant. We are a little bit luck reliant as well. So of course, it's really important to keep in mind to always use Zoe as much as possible at the start of the main to draw cards, and then tuck stuff underneath as much as possible underneath Takuya and Koji, so then we can potentially set up for our Emperor Grey. The other thing I really want to see is the Wind to Fire option card, so then I can warp for a reduced cost. That would be really, really good. So we're also going to try to chip away security at the same time and try to draw as much as we can and see what we can really use and work with. I need to deal with the Gabumon as well afterwards, so I'm going to go into Zaguni, which I really like because you can grab stuff back from the trash and recycle and reuse things. Really nice clutch card there. And yes, taking down the Gabu gives them a little bit of like deletion, draw trash and all that. But you know what? It's totally fine. Like, we need to get rid of those bodies because potentially if they have 2 swings the next turn, we might be basically in danger here. We're really banking on the fact that they potentially don't have 2 hybrids they can get into. With Miss Memory Boost, a Matt and AG, it's not hard at all. But thanks to the fact that we noticed that they don't have a Rookie in Raising just yet in the prior turn, they just hatched this turn, they can't really push for game just quite yet, unless they might play Louis, which could definitely certainly be a surprise, and it's going to be really, really challenging. So they realize that they need a clear board, and going into a AVAULT straight without having Dustmon tells me they might not have a Dustmon in their hand to get into. Even in the prior turn when they played go into Dustmon, probably didn't have the AVAULT just yet. So they're gonna have to try and find the pieces and threaten the lethal next turn. They feel like they might be in a pretty good position because of the amount of tamers that we only have. We don't have enough swings. They still have 4 security, which is a lot for us to actually go through. And with 4 memory, it's very tricky. But this deck is red hybrid after all. It is Emperor Grey. We have the hidden aggression that we can surprise our opponents out of nowhere. So we're gonna trash sources with trash cards from our hand with Tommy and Zoe, so then we can gain as much value as possible. We're starting at 5. We can potentially work with something. I decided to tuck in 4 sources just for now because I did find the Wind to Fire's option card, so I want to tuck in another because I have to place at least 1, and I feel like I want to preserve some resources just in case I still need a bit more. I don't want to stack up too many just at this moment, but honestly, looking back, maybe I could have added as many sources as possible and just try to utilize and think it through thoroughly. But I was pushing a very, very, very tough corner at this situation. I'm gonna go for the Goonie swing. Maybe it gets deleted, at least I still get to float it back, but here I'm gonna go for the Wind to Fire, going into Emperor Grey for 3 costs only, because as long as we have 5 sources in the Koji, but this is where we top deck the card that we perfectly needed, because here comes the SUSANOO option, letting us go into SUSANOomon. I'm just double checking, triple checking if I'm playing this correctly, because it is going to be like the first time, so bear with me guys. But we do get to put Zoe and Tommy underneath it. It has to be from the board. We get to not specifically meet the color requirements as long as I have a tamer or hybrid as well. So we get to trash 3 of the security thanks to having the 3 tamers underneath, and we get to swing out the game. And of course, we got to tuck our tamers underneath as well, but it doesn't matter. Like that, what an epic finish to start off with. All right, game 2, we're gonna up the challenge and go against Lord Nightmon, the competitive version that runs the Dober X Cerber X package overall, and we're gonna see what we can try to do here. Ideally in this matchup, you want to go against second, because then you can get the extra draw and you have a little bit of memory to work with. This is going to be more ideal. So then when we play out the Takuya and Koji, which is still the same game plan, it's more important to see that card alongside with another tamer and then a little bit of hybrids to climb up, because you want to establish as soon as possible. And here you guys can see this is how I can kind of like put them at 1 at the turn every single time and give them as low as possible. Although it doesn't really matter just because they have so many boosts and trainings to utilize, but this is still the most effective setup. We don't want to give them additional memory to work with, because you guys can see they can climb up so quickly thanks to all of this and play stuff out and gain a lot of memory back, draw cards as well, as long as they have an optimal stack. And even with proto form, they can reduce their Digivolution costs as they go up. And this is pretty crazy because they just go into this and they find their pieces and they can just basically start like going aggro and going wide, which is really important. And in this matchup, we're going to try our best. But the other thing I'm going to show you, try to show you guys, is that you don't necessarily have to always try to go into Emperor Grey. You don't always necessarily have to go into SUSANOO. You know, those are just more like tech cards. Emperor Grey is the main boss, but SUSANOO, the way of finishing, you guys saw in game 1, it was really just more of like a, crazy moment, just a nice way to finish it. We can play traditional hybrids. And what that means is that I'm just going to go into hybrids as much as I can, attack bit by bit, and then establish as many tamers as I can, and then eventually just go for traditional hybrids for game. Like the traditional, you guys know that, very simple, attack bit with them, evil them one at a time, and I'm just trying to play a bit of board control and try to survive for as long as possible, by stunning down the ogre and also suspending down the Cerberus X so they can't just go right into Lord Knight and start attacking into us. We know they might have a Levia there, which is kind of scary because they can just pop a lot of things, gain a bit of memory back as well, which I'm pretty sure they're contemplating getting into. But looks like they just go straight into Lord Knight X here. And one of the best cards I feel like that's really good in this matchup is actually the Kumamon, just because of stripping sources is so valuable, and stripping away that X antibody proto form forces the Lord Knight X to be in a suboptimal stack, because they're not going to be able to gain the bonus effects by having X antibody underneath. Otherwise, they have to have Lord Knight underneath. And this is going to be put them in a tricky position, but we're going to have to consider how we want to end the turn. I was about to actually go for Zoe and put them back to 1, but just before that, since they have collision, might as well just attack and use the value of Kuma as much as possible. I cannot Digivolve on top of Kuma anymore, and I don't really want to either. I don't have like a Korikaku, I don't have a Daipenmon, I don't have another Jet Sylphie, not even an Alda at level 5 to get in top. Just because I really like the inheritable of being able to float the tamer back when it would leave the battle area except by your own effects. It's just super good. Because that means that we'll have achieved our goal, right? We'll have set up like Zoe, Takuya, and Tommy. That's the most important thing. But here the board is looking really scary because they're just going wide and gaining a lot of value, even with just one memory. With all that setup they have and all those inheritables, they can just climb onto another level 6 and just go super wide. And they're playing really smart here as well because they know that if they try to chip away at us in the early stage of the game, it just gives us tamers. And when they have tamers, we're just gonna get even more value and be able to cycle, especially with Zoe and then Tommy, just to gain memory. And they're just trying to go for a really wide board as much as possible and then try to finish us off in one single turn with multiple attacks and give us as little as possible to work with too. So they did end up getting rid of Kumamon there. Not too worried because, you know, we did put them down to 2 security, so the pressure's actually on them as well. And again, if they swing and they check into something like that's really good for us, then we can just instantly just turn the game over and basically just win off of it. So that's the reason why you guys might notice that that's why that's not attacking, because when we played a couple other games at earlier stages, when they start attacking us and chipping us away too early, they gave us so many tamers and we were just able to clap back so fast out of nowhere. So here I'm just contemplating, okay, you know, I have some resources. Let's see what we can use away. Use Zoe to pitch away to draw, cycle through, and tuck stuff underneath our Koji and Takuya. I decided to just go for everything. I'm not even seeing Emperor Grey at this moment, so it's going to be a little bit tricky. And I think it's just too late, you know. We can't rely on Emperor Grey anymore. Maybe we can try to go for like the white Boko to search it, and then maybe we can get into it. But, you know, we're not being able to clear off their wide board. It's just too much at this moment. SUSANOO Ace is kind of cool. Maybe we might be able to utilize it, but without the level 6, we just can't. So I'm just going to grab the Tommy. And I felt like Aguni might be really good here because Aguni can always just grab sources back. And I was also contemplating, okay, do I want Zoe or do I want Tommy? Who do I really need at this particular moment? I'm trying to see what I can actually digivolve into to gain the most potential cycle. But here I'm not really having the right pieces, because with Zoe you want to partner it with Kaze, and then with Tommy you want to partner with Kuma. So I'm just gonna have to go for into Kuma, but I at least gain the 3 memory back thanks to the double Boko. The new Boko is really good and fantastic as well. It's like a mini Boko of, not like a mini version, but it's like kind of like a mini version, because search is less and it gives you a little bit lesser memory, but you can at least digivolve in the back of the stack, which gives you that kind of bonus there. Of course I can't swing without Boko because I just played it, but here this is why I can go into Aguni and finish it off thanks to Koji and Takuya with its inherited effect. Alright, game 3, we're facing off against 3 Musketeers, which is actually running a very interesting updated base, which is black base. And many of you guys have actually been telling me how good the black base is, and it actually is super cool because with a few more additions and a few more cards to work with as well, you can gain a lot of memory. And certainly that archetype also has like the new Violet Tamer to work with, so a little bit of a small addition for it, which is kind of nice. And in this matchup, we're gonna be worried about their options, but this is where Aldamon from BT7 becomes so good in this matchup because it can potentially negate it. So that's one of the things that we want to sort of play around. But the other thing is they can actually tuck their options underneath. And one of the things that I'm going to be most worried about is actually Dirt Blitz, because Dirt Blitz de-digivolves. And Kumamon comes in clutch nicely in this because we can actually trash their option cards underneath their Digimon preemptively, and there's gonna be some pretty like funny interactions right here because we're gonna go to swing with Kumamon, and then we're just gonna go into Daipenmon just because we really need to draw and cycle cards. And very unfortunately, like I mentioned, bombs are gonna be a big thing. We hit into a Hurricane Screw Shot, deleting both our 3, 4, and 5. Well, we don't have a 4, but at least that's the reason why I went over the Kumamon with Daipenmon, just so because if it ever gets deleted, at least I can float the Tamer back and then I can continue. Arguably, I think I could have optimally played here by using Ancient Guardian Deity to play a Tamer instead and grab something back as well, so ensuring my next turn I could actually, you know, have a rookie such as like a Flamemon to work with. But here's one of the nice things, because with Beelstar, they want to chip at us, and they have to, because they have to chip at us and put us low enough so that they can finish off with Beelstar X. And 3 Musketeers, that's the way how they play, especially having Gundramon right there. And this is where the value comes in for us, because then we get to get the Tamers for free potentially off security, such as that Tommy you guys saw earlier that got hit. Here again, I could have probably played this a little bit more optimally as well. Again, instead of going Kuma first just to strip sources, I could have went for the Ancient Guardian to actually play out like a Zoe, grab like a rookie, Digivolve in the back as well, at least to have something ready to go. But here, hey guys, I'm still learning this deck at this, you know, it's the new meta is fresh. Everything's really new to me. So bear with me guys, you know, but don't worry, we're still gonna try to finish off and try to win this game no matter what, right? So here, you know, having multiple Flamons is nice because now I can choose, okay, do I want to hard play both of them to search because, you know, they go to 3 with Violet anyways. I can sort of like play optimally with the memory efficient gauge there. But really importantly as well is like I need to cycle and draw cards with Zoe because I need to find the Emperor Grey. Aside from, you know, going for hybrid swings bit by bit, they do have a blocker there. That's something that we're gonna have to address. And I'm also contemplating if I want to strip those 2 sources. And I feel like, yeah, I mean, collision and reboot is really good for them because it ensures them that they can continue to block us and again. So I'm going to go for the Aguni here just because I can cycle back a piece. And I really like Kazemon because it's going to come in real clutch in this situation. So I can suspend that guy down, the Gundramon, so they can't block. Because then I want to go for Aguni to attack. Maybe if it gets deleted, it's fine because I have to flow everything back. And even all the sources I racked up, it's fine. I can add another 5 the turn after anyways. So I'm just trying to chip the damage bit by bit. Gather the pieces that I need to go for a big Emperor Grey turn to finish them off. That's what I'm planning to. But things can look pretty like scary for us as well because once they climb up, they can go to Beostar X, trash our security, and start clearing our board and such. So we have found the option card that we're looking for, Wind to Flame. That's going to help us get into Emperor Grey. So we just need to find Emperor Grey. And surely I play a 4 of it. Surely I should be able to find it. But still so far no. But that's why Zoe's really important and really crucial because we can continue to draw and draw and draw. So here in this position again, they're going to have to start board clearing us because we're threatening the hybrid combos, separate attacks. You know, we have more than enough attacks in the next turn, even with that 1 blocker. If they're not able to establish a second blocker or even continue to clear, it looks like they're going to go trade into our Aguni, which is totally fine because we get to float Takuya and Koji back out, and we're gonna play additional Zoe off of Glaymon's on deletion inherited. So that's really nice for us. And here we can continue to play. And it looks like, yeah, they're a little bit running out of pieces or running a bit of choices, but we still have to be respectful because now they put a Durblitz back, and Durblitz is actually really good because once we go into Emperor Grey, we strip sources, and when we strip their sources, it's just gonna de-digivolve us back to Takuya, and then that's not what we want. That's tricky. So I'm gonna go for Kumamon preemptively, which is pretty funny interaction because I'm going to strip the sources and then I'm going to get de-digivolved. But here in this moment, then I can go for the Wind to Flame, Ice to Sword combo and play around sort of like the block. They don't really want to block. When they block, they get deleted. They can't protect it. Arguably, I could have swung with the Flamemon first to even bait them to block. And then I could potentially go for like massive checks. I could have unsuspended and pierced and all that. But I kind of wanted to keep that Flamemon on the board because I wanted to draw. So 2 different routes I could have taken there. I could have baited the attack. Maybe I should have. If I did, then that would be pretty decent. But who knows? I wasn't entirely sure if the opponent was going to block or not, right? If they don't block, then I guess we get an extra security check, but we draw 1 less card, perhaps. I'm not too sure. Maybe I should have just swung Flamemon, honestly, looking back and playing. So, but again, we're sitting in a pretty decent position. We could have been in a much better position. We could have put them at 0 security, but they're going to go for a hard play Tankmon to de-digivolve us. And at this point, they still have that 1 blocker, so we still have to play around. We're not going to have a lot of memory to actually make enough attacks. But thanks to the Takuya and Koji, if we have like 3 other hybrids, you know, then we can always utilize the end of turn to attack a player with it, which is really nice. It's a really powerful inheritable to allow us to actually attack even when a turn sort of passes. So here I'm just trying to do some calculations and trying to see. Again, like I mentioned earlier, Kazemon is just so good because I just spend down. And then now I can actually go freely and attack, draw, and attack 1 at a time. And then I can go for that last hybrid for game. But we're going to go in this with style. We're going to showcase, you know, Emperor Grey once again, although it's not really needed. But yeah, we got there, which is really nice. Don't forget to grab the Spirit Transcendence collection on the AVAULT store right now as we have limited quantities. As always, thank you so much for watching. You guys have a great day, great night, wherever you are. See you in the next video. And this is AVAULT signing